Let's see here. Here it is. You always get a nice clean ignition when you do that. You try to use a lighter, it'll run right up the side. Alright. So one of the most common things in class warfare, or various types of fourth generation warfare, is to step into the shoes of. People like to say, oh, these people over here are collecting tax money, and they shouldn't be collecting tax money. The government should get more on my behalf. Things like that. They don't seem to understand. It's called subrogation. To step into the shoes of. It's it's untrue on so many levels, and it's false on so many levels. Here in Ontario, a lot of people like to complain that their money paid for this and their money paid for that, so it's okay for them to collect. They don't seem to understand the taxes they do pay don't have anything to do with the money they're receiving. Welfare payments, disability payments, which are in this case provincial in Ontario, they're both classed as social assistance, whatever. So you hear somebody say social assistance, that's what they're talking about. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that's leftover money. The way money's created in this country, not the same way as you think it is. It's very similar to the U.S., except we own our bank. And the way the money's created is with the budget. When they make a budget, that's when they tell the bank how much money to produce. The money, the physical cash, doesn't exist until you withdraw it. In fact, physical cash, there's more. I don't even know if I can say this right. There's more physical cash in vaults than what's actually should be in circulation. So if everybody were to withdraw 50s instead of 20s, the 20s would go back in the vaults and the 50s would come out. Or if everybody wanted $5 bills, or whatever the case may be. Very interesting in a country like Canada that the largest sum of money in cash out there is in $100 bills. And there's still about a billion in thousands. So people think that the welfare money somebody receives today is connected to the taxes they paid yesterday, and it's not. It's even better. In Canada, we got this complication of payments between interprovincial payments, transfer payments they call them. In theory, a province with a surplus is supposed to pay in and pay out to another province that doesn't have a surplus. The idea of a federation. Okay, so where does this money come from? Well, when it comes to the Indians, you knew I was coming back to that. We could talk for hours about African Americans, specifically American Africans, black people, and how they're supposed to get 40 acres and a mule and all that, and they got screwed. They got screwed lots of times, okay? It'll take hours and hours to discuss, and quite frankly, I'm not as well versed on it as some people covering the subject. I will touch on it because people need to talk about it. But so the Indians, people like to think that Indians get tax money somehow. They think they're getting government money somehow. No Indian has ever received money from the government of Canada for being an Indian, ever. It's never happened. Now the way this works is what they call tribal governments. Anytime there's been arrangements made for there to be money exchanged, monies of some sort, if you know what money is, a lot of you don't, so I'll just, money could be anything that you're trading. People like to say, oh, we traded beads for money, we were so stupid. I said, well, beads can be used. We used beads all the time. We had to make them ourselves until people brought them to us. That was pretty cool. You have pieces of paper in your wallet that are so dirty you can't even wipe your ass with them. And they're made of plastic now, so it's not even cotton. You can't burn it, you can't turn it into an air filter, you can't clean a wound with it. It's plastic now. In Canada, our physical paper money is actually plastic now. It used to be 100% cotton. It should be hemp, but whatever. those monies that were set aside for the so-called, the alleged exchanges of land and things, there's a lot of issues with those basic contract law as recognized around the world, in any country governed by the rule of law, recognizes that these contracts are not valid the way the government is trying to interpret them. Even the Supreme Court's, the court in Canada says that Canada, the government of Canada, is not correct. So these monies were never actually exchanged. They were put into trusts, which means they were put into a bank account, which is held in Britain, actually. This is where you get into international banking, and you have to have accounts with each other. So the money they say that they're giving is a small percentage of what is actually being earned in interest in these accounts. There's $2 trillion. Now, you don't know how much that is. That's 2,000 billions, or 2 million million, which in Britain used to be 2 billion, but it's neither here nor there. The F-35 in the US is going to cost 1.5 trillion. The Indians in Canada are worth 2 trillion. That's how much of a difference we're talking. Okay, so that's how much money we're talking. The difference between what it looks like we have and what we have, what's ours and what is it. Now, here's the issue. The government likes to take money out of those accounts and use it for whatever they want. So first of all, we have to get permission to get any of our money. We can only use it the way they tell us we're allowed to. And they're allowed for every dollar we get. In fact, they're not allowed to, but they do this. They're getting away with doing this. They're taking $2, $3, $5, $10 for every dollar we get. They're financing DINAC internally from our money, which is illegal. They're financing things external to DINAC, which is illegal. The Supreme Court says that they are required to hand over the trusteeship to a trustee of our choosing. So that could be any major financial institution. It could be TD Canada Trust. It could be anybody. They outright refuse to, and they won't give us an audit of the money that is supposed to be there. There we go, that's better. There. I'm doing this on a computer. I'm messing with things. So, when you think that your tax monies are subsidizing Indians, no, it's not. So when you're saying that Indians should have to do this or that to get the money, or they just shouldn't get it, or they shouldn't get it and your taxes should go down, there's no connection between the two. You're telling the government you want the government to take your money and other people's money, and you don't even know why. You don't even know why. And all the people that have this headset also seem to be of the same mind state that it's okay to fraud EI and WSIB and all these things. Now, I ain't hating on somebody doing what they got to do to pay their rent. That's what it's for. That's why we live in this sort of a place where half the time your money comes from a government deposit. That's fine, because it's all going in and out. It's all, but all of it is based on valuations of Indian property. Every last penny of it, every dollar in circulation, all of it. And that's important because Canada, according to the CIA, even is it's one of they won't use the term hotspot. We're one of the centers of money laundering around the world. You can store money, you can move money, you can change money. Everything you want to do with money, you can do it here. Cash, electronic, coins, bills, prepaid cards, credit cards, loans, mortgage, whatever you want, we got it here in Canada. If you need to work with money, come to Canada. Our dollar is stable, very stable. It's not based the same way as the U.S. system is, not even close. So all these drug dealers and drug lords out there moving their stuff around, their cash, I mean, their wires, their cables, and their Smurfs and all the rest of this shit. That money is all based on a valuation of what we're fighting to maintain. So if we lose, you lose. Your money stops having value. You need to remember that. There's some types of people, the type, see, I'm not talking HA and PDR, all those big names. There's lower level types that like to be the motorcycle club type of dude. Most of them end up being cops, chasing down motorcycle clubs. These types of people will tell you that Indians are pretty much always just low level they use the terms used can be dummies or bombs or whatever in the crime world, and that's not the case. They like to view us this way. If that's all you're looking at it as, you're missing something. They like to come across our lands because they sit on borders, some of them. And if that's all you're looking at us for, you're going to miss out. So when you're sitting there complaining about how your government is taking your money and doing this and doing that, your money's being handed over because you're handing it over. You don't even understand what you did for the money and what you're going to do with it. And most of you are blowing it on stupid shit anyway. You're blowing it on stupid shit. You talk about support, support, support. DJ Nation said, I should never have to say come out and support. What I'm doing should be enough on its own or not. You should never have to say, oh, support, support, support. You try to shore up a false economy. You're spending extra money on things thinking it makes a difference. If the product is exactly the same, it doesn't matter if $1 more got spent on one place or another. The reason why Walmart won't go anywhere isn't because they charge the lowest price. It's because somebody's going to charge the lowest price. Okay, it's paying $1 extra, $2 extra, all it does is take more money out of your pocket. It does not help anybody. That money doesn't go into the employees' pockets. If you look at the George Weston family with the way they run food, and this is all based on this type of agriculture they murdered lots of people, to put it bluntly. They don't know how to grow anything on this land, but they just have massive amounts of land. They add so many chemicals to the products. You see trucks that say toxic or whatever on the side outside the Weston bakeries. It's food coloring. Your raisin muffins and things don't have no raisins in them. They have a lot of blue food coloring, but there's no freaking raisins. So they take all of this that they don't pay very much for. And out in the fields, it is Mexican workers and migrants. There's always been migrant workers up here. And traditionally, you see lots of Americans too. People from everywhere now. I mean, now Mexicans and stuff. Those people aren't getting benefits. They aren't getting paid every time what they're supposed to get paid. Blah blah blah. And when you go to the stores that these people own, these huge stores that are now tied into banks with CIBC and things, they mark up products insanely to where you can just barely afford to pay for it, but you think you're doing something good because this store has a different set of lighting than that store. It's fresher. It gives the sense of being fresher. If you get into advertising and study that, you'll understand how foolish you've been with your money your whole life. People are willing to hand over large sums of money on markups, huge markups that are unjustified to large companies. But when you go to the store and they say $1.25 for a can of pop, you go, oh, it should only be $1, or it should only be this, or it should only. You'll argue with those people. Why? Why are you so loyal to these big companies? You think throwing your money at them is going to make them do something for you? It doesn't work that way. So be smart with your money. Be an educated consumer. And think about where that money is going. Most of it's just going to shareholders. You say a company's based in Canada, based in the United States, that means nothing. That means the insurance company that underwrote it has an officer. It doesn't mean anything. You don't know who owns what because it's publicly traded. Only people and entities trading more than 10% of a company's value at a time need to declare anything. Or if they're tied into the company somehow, things of that nature. Canadian Tire isn't Canadian. It's got nothing to do with Canada. You know, the only thing is they get their rewards dollar thingies that you get at their gas stations. They print that by the same people that used to print our money on paper. It's printed on paper still, so it's not even the same anymore in that sense. It's all fraud. It's all plastic. But you keep spending that money. It's all good. You keep spending that money.